Hey, this is Alan Stein, Leadership Performance Coach, and you are listening to Success is a Choice with Jamy Bechler.
Providing insights to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and add value to those around you. You're listening to the Success is a Choice podcast, where you get a peek into the lives of industry leaders as they share their stories with you.
Welcome to Success is a Choice podcast. I'm your host, Jamy Bechler, and we've had some great coaches on this show like Dwayne Casey of the Toronto Raptors, and we've had some great business people like the original shark from Shark Tank, Kevin Harrington. But our guest today is a combination of both of those worlds. Micheal Burt is a super coach, as he is a former championship basketball coach with an entrepreneurial mindset. Known as the $1 Million Machine, he is regarded as one of the top executive business coaches in the country for his ability to increase sales and profits at such a high level for so many different types of businesses. He's also the author of 12 books, including Zebra and Cheetahs, and his newest book, Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. And on a personal note, Coach Burt was instrumental in helping me write my first book. He gave me the motivation and the tools through one of his many coaching programs. So we're very honored to have the super coach, Micheal Burt, on the program today. Welcome, Coach.
Yeah, man, welcome. Thank you. Thanks for having me. You've had some big-time people on here, so I'm honored. I think the world of you. You are a very impressive guy, and I'm excited that you got your new book out, man. So thank you for having me.
Thank you. It's been fun. It's been a whirlwind. Glad we can get you on the show. I've been a big fan for years, and for those people that aren't familiar with you, you need to check out his website, coachburt.com, and you definitely need to check out his YouTube channel and see all the great content he puts out. You're going to be a better person for it. You kind of have a unique story, which led you to be known as the super coach, led you into what you're doing now. So just tell our audience a little bit. Would you share with us what your story is?
Yeah, I really started coaching very early in life at 15. I found my voice, and as my buddy Tim Story says, I had revelation that I was supposed to be a coach. Because of that revelation, I had conviction. Because of that conviction, I took action. So I started coaching as early as 15 in junior pro. I was an elementary basketball coach at 18, and then I was hired at the second largest high school in Tennessee at 19 to be an assistant coach. And I began to have a burning desire to lead a program, but I didn't just want to win ball games. I really wanted to teach life through sports. And so I began to study Dr. Stephen Covey at 18 years old, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, First Things First, Principle-Centered Leadership. And so I made up my mind that I was going to teach every one of those players the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And I studied his work at such a deep level, I really began to see myself as a master of human potential and as a person that engineers people to win, is really getting inside the body, the mind, the heart, the spirit. And so I kind of had this business acumen going on while I was coaching. I became the head coach at 22, and by 25 I had written my first book, Changing Lives Through Coaching. I started to speak. Speaking led to coaching. Coaching led to companies saying, will you come in and coach our people? I said, no, I can't, because I'm still coaching his high school basketball team. And finally, at 31, I won the first championship in the school's history, and then I retired to do what I do today, which is coach people really to show some rapid growth for enlightened entrepreneurs, business owners, and people that are interested in playing at a higher level.
So you're still coaching, obviously. You're just coaching a different type of people, and you don't have to go home at night and worry about those referees and the overtime losses and those kind. But you didn't have too many losses when you coached, but I'm sure that you had some referee issues. Did you ever get kicked out of a game?
I did. I actually got, the funny thing is, I was so passionate early in life, and it was that unbridled, pure, raw ambition. I was not very sensitive to others, so I actually got ejected from a junior pro basketball game when I was 15. And then I think as a high school coach, I had 2 ejections in my decade of being a women's basketball coach. And, man, sometimes I just didn't know how to contain my emotion. I learned from that. I don't walk the floors like I used to, Jamie. I don't get up at 4:30 and try to bring the team in. And I kind of got all that out of my system when I retired from athletic coaching.
Well, when you win as much as you did, there's probably not a lot of things that you can be upset about, I wouldn't think, as a coach. But your newest book is called Everybody Needs a Coach in Life. Talk to us a little bit about why you had titled that book, why you wrote that book, and what does that mean?
That's really my life's message. I tell people it should have been the first book I wrote, not the 12th book. Is I have been saying somewhere along the way, I began saying this a lot, man, I believe everybody needs a good coach in life. I believe a good coach can change your life. I believe people that have a coach earn 3 and 4 times the amount of money than people that don't. I believe you can't see the picture when you're inside the frame. I have all these beliefs, but I kept coming back to that core message, my life's message. And so when I went to write a new book, which is a labor of love for everybody, you just wrote a book, so you know this. I said, what do I want to say to the world? What's my message? And my message is we're living in one of 3 states. We're dynamic and alive and vibrant. We're static and complacent, or we're entropic and dying. And a good coach will never let you get static, and a good coach will always keep you in a dynamic state. So I wrote this is the best of all of my methodologies that I use, the whole person theory, how I enter-engineer people to win, how I get businesses to another level, and just my own personal philosophies on how to play at a much higher ordinance in life, how to not be a low-frequency thinker, how to drive your God-given potential. That's really what my new book is about, is just let this book be your coach.
Now, you've written 12 books. What is the secret to writing so many books, and what advice would you have for somebody out there? I know you say oftentimes everybody has a book in them. Everyone has a story. Yeah. So what would be your advice to people about writing a book?
Well, first you got to demystify it. I wrote my first book at 25 and had no clue what I was going to say, who I was going to say it to, how I was going to market it. People get caught up majoring in the minors. It don't matter who's going to buy it. It doesn't matter. First thing you got to do is write it. And I do believe every person has a song to sing, and I believe there's somebody out there dying to hear it. So you got to demystify it. A book is nothing more than thoughts that emanated in your own brain that you put on paper, or in my case, on my iPad or a Mac computer. It goes to a Word document that is saved as a PDF and then dressed up and made pretty by a graphic designer. So the first thing I tell people is, look, anybody can write a book. Okay, now it may not be a good book, but anybody can write a book. You got to get over the fact that it'll take too long, it'll be too hard, I don't know what to do, I'm not a good writer, my grammar's not very good. Listen, all of some of the best writers in the world face these things, but it's really just the discipline of taking your intellectual property, your experiences in your brain, and putting them on paper in a way that people can consume it. Listen, I've signed 6-figure contracts as a result of one person picking up my book. A stranger, a person in another city that walked into a bookstore and had an affinity with even the title and with me. And so a book is the new business card. And if you don't have one, shame on you, because if life's worth living, it's worth writing it down. I guarantee you that.
And you are right about that was the first time I'd heard the book is like a business card. Now, a business card is certainly easier to carry around than a book, but a book is much more impressive. If somebody outside of your most recent book, which you said is probably the book you should have wrote first, if someone is going to go out and buy one of your books, what would you probably suggest to them?
Well, I think when you look at an author's work, many times you look at their seminal work, their original philosophy. Some of their best books is their first couple of books. I think my third book, a book called This Ain't No Practice Life. If you're interested in finding your potential, if you're interested in finding your voice, if you're interested in 7 big decisions, then I think you need to pick up This Ain't No Practice Life, which sold a ton of copies for me. And then so that would be a good book as a personal growth book that you need to be interested in, okay? And if you're 25 years old trying to find your calling, if you lost your mojo, if you're going through divorce, if you need to get back to your life's work or find your calling, that's the book you need to read. If you're trying to be a person of interest in your space, you need to pick up Person of Interest. If you're trying to differentiate yourself, you need to get Zebras and Cheetahs. And if you're a coach, I think you need to pick up Anatomy of Winning or The Intangibles. These are books I wrote for coaches. And so I write different books on different things, but it really depends on what the outcome is. But you can't go wrong with those. You certainly couldn't go wrong with the new one, because it's like a greatest hits of all my best stuff.
A few years ago, I was down in Middle Tennessee, where you're located at, and I picked up This Ain't No Practice Life, and I read it on the whole way back to Indiana, and that was during a time when I was considering getting out of coaching and getting out of athletics full-time and going into leadership, and I underlined a lot of things, highlighted a lot of things, and toward the end of that trip, I decided I probably am going to move out of athletics. So that book definitely spoke to me a lot in terms of this ain't no practice life, and you're only living once, and so you need to find out what your purpose is, find out what will add most value to other people.
Well, I don't understand why people don't see work as their distribution channel of their talents. I believe that, God has given us certain talents, We get to distribute those talents to the world. The parable of the talents in the Bible talks about one person hid it, other people used it, so they were given more. But to the one that didn't use it, it was taken away. My point is, let's find our talents earlier in life. Let's distribute those talents through our work. And the higher we distribute the talents through our work, the world's going to reward you in the form of love and money and recognition and the opportunity. And so that's what that book's about. 67% of people are disengaged with their work. They've got an adversarial relationship with something they do 35 to 50 years of their life. It just doesn't make any sense. So you need to pursue your potential. You don't need to tell your kids they got potential if they're not watching you reach your own potential.
Well, speaking of jobs and work, we've all been at a family function or met someone, and the question inevitably comes up, so what is it that you do? How should people answer that question, or what would you say should be their elevator pitch, or as you call it, the explanation of services, the EOS?
Yeah, this was a term created by a guy named Tom Love, who was in my coaching program. Tom was earning about $3.8 million a year, and he read my book, Person of Interest, and he went back and he put together a framework. And he called it the EOS, the explanation of service. And we've continued to use it, continue to leverage it. But here's what I would tell you. People, Simon Sinek said this, people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. People don't care what you do, they care why you do it. Here's what I would say. People do business with other people that believe the same things they do. So when a person asks me what I do for a living, I never lead with what I do, because there's a million coaches, there's a million authors, there's a million speakers. What I lead with is what I believe. Man, I believe a good coach can change your whole life. Have you ever had a good coach? So we teach people a framework called the EOS. It's a 6-step framework in how to explain your services in a world-class way. And if you get this down, you will literally know in the first 15 seconds if you have a legitimate person who is interested in you, interested in partnering with you, doing business with you, working with you, because when two people agree, now you're off to the races. So I go for agreement. Do you and I believe the same things? If I believe in coming in early and staying late, and you believe in coming in late and leaving early, we don't believe the same things. Therefore, we shouldn't partner with each other. So I always teach people to lead with what they believe, not what they do. Then go through, tell me what you believe, tell me why you believe it, tell me what it is you do, tell me how you do it different than everybody else, tell me everybody you've done it for, and then ask me a question. Hey, if this looks good to you, and you're interested, and there could be some potential, why don't we take it to round 2?
We'll get back to Coach Burt in just a moment. As I mentioned in the intro, he was instrumental in helping me write my first book, which has experienced a good deal of success on Amazon. The Leadership Playbook, Become Your Team's Most Valuable Leader, teaches student athletes how to be better leaders and teammates. We all know a youngster that is in a crucial stage of their development. I believe that when we positively develop our students, then we positively influence the future. Frederick Douglass once said, it is easier to build up strong children than it is to repair broken men. To learn more about my book and about helping develop students, visit theleadershipplaybook.com. And now back to the super coach, Micheal Burt. Well, part of what you do is you take people from where they are now and take them to where they want to be and really grow their businesses. One of your major programs is the Monster Producer. Talk to us a little bit about that program and what makes it different from other maybe sales programs or other business programs out there.
That's a great question. I believe a monster producer is a legendary creature that combines multiple skills to dominate a market, okay? Because of that belief, I've created a monthly, ongoing, systematic, high-intensity coaching program with like-minded people who want to grow, but they're not interested in doing one more deal a month. They're interested in rapid growth. 30%, 40%, 50%. The differential advantage is I teach it live every month, and this is very uncommon in today's world. Okay, so I teach it in 6 locations throughout Tennessee. We also simulcast it all over the country. So we have people all over the world in that program, and they get up to 9 touches a month from me and my team. One of the worst things in the world is to sign up for a coaching program and not get the guy who created the program. So there's slippage between the guy who created it and the guy or girl that you get. I've designed this coaching program where you get coached by me. You get me. So today, this afternoon, I was doing accountability sessions online. There's 50 or 60 people that are on there watching me, engaging with me. They can see me live this week as part of Monster Producer. And so that's the differential advantages. In a one-year cycle, I think I can help you get a 43% increase in your business through an ongoing, systematic, consistent process of me coaching you and you getting me up to 9 times in a 30-day cycle. We also have that in an online academy. If you said, look, I want to go at my own pace, on my own schedule, I want to log in anytime, I want to watch it in the middle of the night, I want to watch it in the morning, you can get that in my Monster Growth Academy. It's got all the same content. It's just in an online academy. So, and it's at a lower price point if you want to get it online versus the live or virtual training.
Well, not only do you have the virtual training, not only do you have where they can come to the Greatness Factory and sit in your conference room, but you also have some retreats and some seaside type things. And talk a little bit about some of your unique opportunities that you have for people to get coaching in a different environment.
I got back from Seaside, Florida, where I did 2 retreats down there, and that's for more deep, intimate, immersion type experience. So a lot of the monsters went down to Seaside with me. We vacation, we stay in the same house. We did coaching in the morning, coaching in the afternoon. Matter of fact, your friend Alan Stein, a good friend of ours, is coming to my retreat in November. And so that's where we just get a little bit more intensive with each other. We get a little more intense. We go more intimate. So I believe in giving people different opportunities to learn, to grow, to engage with me. I'm out there speaking all over the world. I'll be speaking at the 10X Growth Con in February with some of the biggest speakers in the world. But let's say you said, look, I want to be coached by this guy. I want to infuse him into my life. Then the way I do that's through Monster Producer. But let's say you say, look, I want some intimate time with him, really looking at my business. Well, I may say, well, come with me to Seaside to the retreat, or get involved at this when we do them in the mountains. So we provide all kinds of ways for a person to be coached by us.
What is next for your business? How do you scale up from here? What are some of your goals that you have for your business?
Well, my big goal is to be a dominant player in the training space. I believe that training is not something you did one time. I think it's something you do on a consistent basis. So when you're looking at scaling a coaching business like mine, there's a couple ways we're looking at doing it. Number one, we are interested in building greatness factories. These are unique destination locations that have a gym, a spa, a 68-person training facility, a podcast studio, a rooftop experience. I am now taking on investors to build these greatness factories all over the country. Now, part of our scalability plan is, let's say there's a greatness factory in your market, and instead of coming to Tennessee like you did to see me live, you go to the greatness factory and we simulcast Monster Producer into all the greatness factories around the country. And so part of our deal is simulcasting to reach more people at lower price points. Part of our deal is the online academy. And the other deal is building greatness factories and greatness factories for kids, which are places that when a person makes a decision to become great, they can go to get trained at affordable pricing in local markets on a consistent basis. That's really part of my legacy and part of my big, big vision.
You have been obviously very successful as a basketball coach, and you've been very successful here in the years that you've been a business coach and helping people build their businesses. But I know that there's been at least one thing or two things that have not always gone smoothly. What have been some of the challenges that you've had to overcome through your career, whether it was in coaching or whether it's in business?
Well, I think in coaching, back in the early days, I talk about that raw, unbridled ambition. I rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. My first several years of coaching, I led through fear. I was not good at being a consensus builder. I didn't get buy-in from lots of people. And I really spent the next 4 or 5 years repairing relationships, going back and redoing collateral damage I created. And that was just young, naive immaturity, too confident, not ready. And so that was a big mistake. If I had to go back and do it again, I'd be more of a consensus builder. I'd be more of an ambassador versus a loner. I'd be more of a person that tried to move the whole deal. When I built my coaching business, I believe a business is designed before there is a business. I did not design the coaching business. I just went out and spoke. And the more I spoke, the more people wanted me to coach them. And the more people wanted me to coach them, the more contracts I signed. I didn't think about scalability. I didn't think about business design. I didn't think about what if I wake up at year 10 and I'm tired and I'm exhausted and I can't service people the way I want to service them. So now I'm going back and recalibrating this business to where it's more effective, it's more efficient. And these were some mistakes that I made. I just didn't know. You never know how big this is going to get. Then you wake up one day and it's big, and you start going, now, how do we control this? How do we keep the fire burning? How do we not reach a burnout state or a mechanical mode? How do we be good every day if you're coaching 3, 4, 5 groups in a day? You know, we're just so hungry to drive revenue and to reach these just ridiculous goals that sometimes you don't think about the business design until you're right in the middle of it going, man, I don't want to do this part. I don't want to continue to do this because there's just too much pressure on one person. So that was a little bit of a design flaw on my part. We're trying to recalibrate that now, but it's not easy to change those tires when that thing's running down the road fast, Jamie. I'll tell you.
The title of this podcast is called the Success is a Choice podcast, and I truly believe that. I use that phrase a lot in my coaching career, but unfortunately, so is failure. Failure is a choice as well. What do you see people doing or making choices that shoot themselves in the foot or lead to some rough times or some failures?
Biggest thing I'm seeing today is they won't commit. They're too caught up in their feelings. I call that cotton candy versus commitment. Listen, when you see successful people, what you don't see is the 10 years of grinding and building, and they make it look easy. Well, they make it look easy because they've mastered it. They have a certainty about them because they've done it so many times that it looks easy. So people think, well, I could do that. You know, I could go out and do exactly what he does. What they don't think about is how many times have they done it to have that level of certainty. So I'm a big stickler for this cotton candy. Too many people go and they go 2 or 3 months and they say, well, I've heard that before, or I want something new. You got to understand that mastery is not sexy. It's not exciting. Matter of fact, it's boring because there's so much repetition involved in mastering. I remember seeing Dr. Covey in maybe 98, something like that, and he talked about the 7 habits of highly effective people, which he talked about in 1989, by the way. Then I saw him again, and guess what he talked about? The 7 habits of highly effective people. And then I watched hundreds of hours of video on him. Guess what he talked about? The 7 habits of highly effective people. He didn't veer off his core conviction. Too many people today want edutainment. They want to be entertained versus educated. They will not dig in and really do what it takes. Because I say, here's what you got to do, man. If you want the last 90 days of the year to be great, here's what kind of commitment you got to have. And they go, well, you know, I just don't have an engine to do that. I don't have the drive to do that. I don't have the motivation. Just because feelings are real, that don't make them right. If you look at any great person, they have committed to mastery. And mastery means they do it so much and with so frequency and such velocity that they really become world-class at it. And let me tell you something. It wasn't fun. It wasn't easy. It wasn't sexy. Matter of fact, it probably almost killed them. But they got to a level that, man, they have a ridiculous confidence and a ridiculous certainty about them.
Well, you are well on your way to mastering this coaching business, and you know, you give of yourself so much when you are coaching businesses, when you are coaching people. How do you recharge? What are you doing to ensure that you continue to grow and develop as a person?
You know, when Ferriss wrote the book 4-Hour Workweek, and he coined the term the mini retirement. I'm a big believer that to go as hard as I go, and a lot of you out there listening to the show go very hard. I try, if I have some kryptonite, one of my kryptonite is pouring it all in during the day. I don't know any other way to go except full speed. What that does sometimes is leave me tired. It leaves me in a mechanical state, and it leaves me with crumbs to my family, and I really hate that. So what I'm trying to do is learn how to better manage my energy. When I get off here with you, I got a personal trainer that's coming to my house tonight at 6:15 to get a workout in. Sometimes I work out twice in a day. I'm constantly trying to find ways to keep my fire burning, so when I get home with my 5-year-old daughter and with my beautiful wife, I don't give them crumbs. I don't want to give crumbs to God. I don't want to give crumbs to my family. I don't want to give crumbs to my friends. But the reality is balance is everything in its correct proportion. To push as hard and to be as aggressive as I am, some days, man, you just pour it all in and you don't have a lot left over. So I really try this mini retirement for every 30, 60 days. I need 3 days off, just like an entertainer. I need to rest. I need to practice. I need to perform. And when I perform, I need to be at the highest level possible. But I got to find ways to recoup my energy there. And that's a big thing I'm constantly working on.
Do you read many books or podcasts? And if so, do you have any that you recommend that you're currently consuming? Or obviously Stephen Covey's 7 Habits, that would be toward the top of your list.
Yeah, and that was instrumental from 18 to 25. I mean, today I read every day. I'm constantly reading 3 and 4 books at a time. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I listen to Masters of Scale. Obviously, I listen to my bud Grant Cardone, who always makes me think bigger, and I'm a big YouTube junkie, so I'm listening to videos. I start my day every morning off with a sermon. I'm a big fan of Stephen Furtick, who started Elevation Church in Charlotte, so I typically start my day with a sermon. I try to start my day every day with spiritual content. Then I end my day every night with a sermon, listening to my pastor, Brady Cooper, of New Vision Baptist Church. I started in my day in the Word. Then throughout the day, I read different business concepts. So right now I'm reading several books. I love studying biographies of people who started from nothing and went to something big. So studying Amazon, studying Twitter, studying Uber, studying Elon Musk, studying people who had enough guts to start something from nothing and go get it.
You put out a lot of great content and have guests on your shows as well. A couple of them that I love, some of my favorites are when you had Marcus Lemonis from The Prophet, and recently you had a guy that maybe people don't know about, but the FBI negotiator, the number one FBI, Chris Voss. I thought that was amazing in negotiating. Who would you like to still get on your podcast or on your show? Who would be a bucket list of somebody?
Well, I think there's so many good people out there. I mean, I think when you can spend time, I'd love to spend time with each one of the sharks on Shark Tank because of their mindset. I'd love to spend time with the founders of all of these startups that have grown to be big, because I want to talk to them about scale. I'd love to have Bezos on, of Amazon, but Lemonis was really good. I had him for an hour on my show. Chris Voss was really good. A lot of people didn't know about him, but the number one FBI negotiator. We're working on Tim Grover, who wrote the book Relentless, who was Jordan's coach and Kobe Bryant's coach. And, so I'm constantly trying to just link up with people and just share their mind, just reaching inside that mind and figure out how can I extract as much as I can from them. So to me, the world we're living in today, guys, there's virtually nobody that you can't get. I mean, you've already had Kevin Harrington on of Shark Tank. That's a big get for you early on in the podcast. So I love spending time with anybody who's hungry and interested and it has an entrepreneurial spirit that we can extract some value from.
Now, you have a big event coming up that you're advertising. The 10X Growth Conference is coming up in February in Las Vegas with Grant Cardone, and you are offering a package. Now, by the time people hear this, it might be all sold out probably, but talk a little bit about that and also where people can connect with you or find out more about you.
Yeah, I'm honored to be on stage with Grant Cardone. Cardone wrote the 10X Rule. If you haven't heard of him, unbelievable sales guy, probably the best sales guy in the world. And I've learned a lot about sales acumen for him. And one of the things he taught me is how to bundle things together. And what that means is to take various things and put it into one package and then just make it so ridiculous that a person can't say no to it. And so what I did is I put together a package, and I said this: I'll give you one ticket to the 10X Growth Con, which is a VIP ticket, which means you get an extra day. It's a 4-day conference. Damon John, Lewis Howes, Tim Story, Richard Brunson, Coach Burt, all of these people will be on stage over the course of 4 days. I'll give you that ticket. I'll give you 1 day with me teaching you my person of interest. I'll give you 1 day on my Mercedes Sprinter, the bus I travel on, where you're just traveling with me, talking business, ideas, strategy. And I give you 1 private event in Las Vegas with me and 50 to 100 monster producers, and I'm giving that to everybody at $2,500. It's an unbelievable deal. The ticket alone costs $2,000 because of the caliber of the ticket I'm giving people. So you're really getting a ridiculous amount of value for $2,500. And if you want to take advantage of that, just email me at info@coachburt.com, info@coachburt.com. If you want to know more about Monster Producer, or you had an affinity with what we've been talking about, if you're serious, if you're tired of playing small, if you want to show rapid growth, then email me at info@coachburt.com, and I'll give you 1 month of Monster Producer for you to try it out. You can just physically log on and watch it. You can come in person and see me live, but I'm big on letting you test it out. I can't do that on the Cardone offer. You got to buy the ticket to get that, but we've just got a few tickets left. So if you really want to have a thing that could change your whole life, that would be it.
Well, that's very generous, and we appreciate that. I can't speak highly enough for Coach Burt and his services and what he provides, and so we'll definitely put that in the show notes as well so people can check that out. But, Coach, we appreciate your time. I know your time is valuable, and you got to get to that personal trainer, so thank you for joining us today.
That's right. I got to get my big butt. Just keep in shape, man. So, hey, thank you. I believe in you, Jamie. I'm so proud of your work. Success is a choice. And, man, I've been so honored to watch your progress from a coach to what you're doing now, to your speaking and your coaching and your training. So if people are not taking advantage of you and your mind share, then they're really missing out. So God bless you for bringing this podcast to market.
There were a lot of nuggets of wisdom that the super coach Micheal Burt passed on to us today, and I encourage you to pick up some of his books or watch his YouTube videos. And if you aren't inspired by him, then you just might want to check your pulse. Also, we'd love to have you leave a little 5-star review today. Please take just a minute to do that on iTunes, and that will help this and other episodes get promoted to people who might also like Success is a Choice podcast. Thanks so much, and until next time, remember that success is a choice. What choice will you make today?